Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording Wednesday, February 12th, last game before the All-Star break, and the Celtics earned a 116-103 win over the Spurs at home. They've been hot lately. They've only dropped one of their last nine, I think. I think they're 8-1 in their last 9 games. Played well against the Spurs, jumped out to a huge lead early. Spurs made a little bit of a comeback in the second and third quarter, but the Celtics fended them off very nicely, and this one wasn't close for most of the game. I think after the after the first quarter, it only dipped below 10 a few times, their lead. So good win for the Celtics, very consistent win for the Celtics, and a good way to go into the break.
Yeah, this was an incredible Tatum game, just another to join the recent collection of bangers he's put out. Not to mention you had a nice performance from Kristaps too, but overall it was a really impressive showing for the Celtics against a competitive Spurs team, a Spurs team that, like we talked about in the pregame, hasn't really found their footing just yet. Haven't won a lot of games since this De'Aaron Fox trade, but they certainly have a ton of talent. And at times in this game, they did look like they were ready to make a little bit of a run at the Celtics and never quite got close enough. I think it was 6 at one point in the third or fourth, early fourth. But the Celtics really never let go of the rope. It was a vintage, as in last year-esque, Celtics performance where they bent without breaking. Very, very encouraging to see. With the stretch of basketball that we watched from December to mid-January, I guess we'll draw the line, compared to what we've seen since, has been night and day. The Celtics finished strong going into the All-Star break. I think everybody can feel just relieved, to say the very least.
Yeah, I know you said it on a recent show, and Noah said the same thing to me while we were watching the game upstairs. It does feel like the Celtics are back. Like, it feels like this is the team that we all expected to see. It's the team that we saw at the start of the year. It's the team we saw last year. And now the Celtics are kind of what they're supposed to be and who they're supposed to be as a team. So it's good to see that. It's good to see Tatum playing as well as he did. We can jump right into that. Just a monster game from Jayson Tatum. Finished with 32, 14 and 7, 12 of 25, 4 of 14 from 3. Just did a little bit of everything on the court. Read Wemby's defense well. Had a huge dunk in the first quarter, I think first half at least, because of it. I mean, Tatum's been stepping up a lot lately, and he deserves a ton of credit for the way he's been playing.
Yeah, Tatum did everything. He really did. He was on triple-double watch almost from the get-go. He almost got there. He was 3 assists short, but he was just dotting guys up. He had that incredible pass to Horford at the end of the first quarter that resulted in the buzzer beater. He drives, whips it over his left shoulder like this in the blink of an eye, hits him right in his shooting pocket for the 3. He had several reads like that throughout the night. Considering like he was literally getting fucking triple teamed and he only turned the ball over twice, very impressive from Jayson Tatum. And listen, another just efficient scoring night. Took a lot of threes. Still shot 12 of 25 from the field. He needs to, 4 of 8 from the free throw line isn't good enough, but everything else was great. If you look the other way, which we all will do for the free throws tonight, tremendous Tatum game. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, this is just another in the February Tatum collection that has lit the court on fire. He's probably going to end up winning Player of the Month if he keeps this up. If he doesn't come back after the break and all of a sudden suck, if he doesn't get monstarsed at the All-Star break, he'll be lined up for another Player of the Month, I think.
For sure. Sorry, we got blitzed during that segment with
Yes,
2
we
signings.
did.
Markel signed with the King.
Yes.
Well,
I
different
had seen
sport.
the Bregman one before.
Yeah, Markel Fultz signed with the Kings and Alex Bregman signed with the Red Sox. But yes, Tatum was awesome. Huge Celtics win. It felt like they played Wemby really well too. Excuse me, I was up my throat.
Good talking point.
Yeah. So Wemby, 7 of 16, 1 of 6. Only 2 blocks. I say only 2 blocks because he averages 4. It's a good night.
Shit fucking game for Wemby.
I know. It felt like they did a lot of different things to sort of nullify the impact he had on this game on both ends. In the first quarter, like I said, Jayson Tatum sort of read him and his defense coming up on a screen and got by him for a dunk. Kristaps had to work for his post-ups and really get around him. It felt like a lot of the times they sent the ball to the other side of the floor to avoid him, and they picked on mismatches. Like, they worked around him a lot. But when I asked Joe about it and like, hey, what's it like going up against Wemby, blah, 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 he kind of didn't want to give credit to Wemby or didn't want to like acknowledge Wemby. He was just like, yeah, we're very glad we have guys who can space the floor and do that. And we do that every night. Like our guys are, every game presents different puzzles and we just have to continue to solve those, and they change within the game. And I think that's sometimes where you go through phases where we're not as sharp as we're figuring out that puzzle. And he goes, making sure we're intentional about the spacing, about the 2-on-1 reads, about what the decision is, regardless of who's out there. And so it kind of felt like he wouldn't like actually, like he didn't say Wemby's name. Like he refused to say it, which is probably just another Joe ism. Tatum did talk about it too. Tatum was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's a challenge to go up against a guy like that when he covers so much ground. But it really did feel like the Celtics did a lot of different small things throughout the game to nullify his impact, and having two guys on the floor a lot of the times in Horford and Porzingis who space the floor makes it a lot harder on Wemby, because you obviously want him to guard Kristaps, but as Kristaps is behind the line, then you want him down low. But then if Wemby's guarding the guy in the corner and Kristaps is spacing, Kristaps is just going to go post up on that guy, then Wemby has to switch. So like it's very hard on him when you have guys who space the floor like that. And the first sub of the game, I'm rambling here, sorry, is Luke came in, but they only brought him in once they saw Wemby went to the bench, and so they wanted to attack that the size advantage they would have there. So it was very clear that they were trying to game plan against Wemby, but in classic Joe fashion, I didn't get much out of that question.
What does he gain from that? What does he gain from not giving you a real answer? Like, watch any game Wemby plays. The teams play differently.
This is all it is, and I 100%, like, I get it, and it's very small and it seems foolish, and kind of is, but like I understand. It is not wanting to say anything in the media that any team can take and game plan against. So he is trying to say as little as possible about Wemby, and he doesn't give a shit that they only play Wemby twice a year and there's no chance they're going to play him in the finals unless they make a miracle run. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to give anybody any sort of insight into what they do against any individual matchups, which I get it. Kind of annoying, a little bit ridiculous, yes, but like I understand the thought process, even if it's kind of silly.
Sure. I mean, anybody with eyes can see, not even game plan. It's just like if you're on the floor with the basketball, you have to think differently about what your decision is going to be, which makes what Tatum did, by the way, today even more impressive. Because you have this massive alien guy and he's going to block any shot that he can get to. And he can get to just about anything. He can defend the weak side corner and get to you on the strong side drive. That's how versatile and quick defensively he is and how much range he can cover. Teams are terrified to take the ball inside. Like, again, if you have eyes, you can see that. That's all he has to say to like give you a real answer. Anyways, this isn't about him. It's about the Celtics, and they did a great job defending Wemby, which was the initial point. And Al Horford strikes again. Al Horford sees these star level big dudes and is always ready for him. He had Wemby in hell in this game. He wasn't letting him get any really great position inside to make an easy catch and score. Wemby was wildly inefficient for a 7'5" guy in this game who was he took 6 threes. But let's see, so he was 6 of 10 from inside the arc. He looked very uncomfortable when he had the ball down low. He missed a lot of shots at the rim. Horford made things probably as difficult as they possibly could be on Wembanyama. And listen, this is not like a feat of stopping Giannis or stopping Embiid, because that's a different type of player. At this point in his career, even though he's a genetic freak, Wemby's probably still more of a finesse/skill player rather than a physicality type guy. The other two guys, different play style. Horford's always ready for them. This year, we've seen him defend Embiid. Like on Christmas, he was very good at defending him, even though Embiid had a decent game. This bodes well for the playoffs, is the point I'm trying to make as I just go through all the fucking words.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the Joe thing. Like I said, I get why he does it. It's just when you try, like I prodded him too. I'm like, yeah, but this game specifically, he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I was like, all right, I give up. It's fine. Regardless, Joe did talk about having the advantage of having two floor spacers on the floor, which I asked Tatum about too. He said that makes his life a lot easier. And Tatum, obviously, we saw the advantage of that tonight. Al Horford, like you said, was awesome. He had 10 rebounds in this game, 3 assists, only 6 points. Didn't shoot the ball great, but that's fine. Huge game from KP, 29 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, to steal, a block. He did have 5 turnovers, which is a bit uncharacteristic, but 37 minutes for Kristaps is what stood out to me. He's healthy. I'm happy. So I guess that's the thing to take away from it. But he did dive on the floor for a loose ball at one point in this game.
Never something you want to see.
No. I was like, it's not that deep, man. It's okay. I promise. You don't have to do that. Like, please. It was like a collective gasp.
Save yourself. I don't want to say quiet 29 points, but it was quiet 29 points. I looked at the box score and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you had that many points. I just think it's because when he has a scoring outburst, it's never like they're force feeding Kristaps. It's just, oh wow, Kristaps was really efficient today. And that's how he ends up piling up the points, which ultimately is like the best possible thing you can have for a guy that's like a tertiary, secondary scorer, depending on who's playing that day. I love watching Kristaps. He made big shots in this game too. Like, it was, at the end of the day, a pretty wide margin, but I mean, 13. There were, like I said, Spurs were pushing back later in the second half, made a big 3 to push it back to double digits. Just felt like when they needed a bucket, they could go to him. He had a couple nice offensive possessions on Wemby where he actually had to try in the post, opposed to just like turning around and shooting over everyone because he's massive. He had to like try and do a dream shake and then pump fake 3 times until Wemby started dancing around like he was playing Dance Dance Revolution, trying to pogo stick to block the shot and contest. He played well. And this was a big test. You could tell the entire day that he was excited about the matchup, excited about the challenge of playing Wemby. And it was clear that he came to play. Didn't have a massive day on the glass, but I mean, I don't really care. If he's going to shoot 10 of 16 for 29, I mean, grab some rebounds, which he did, but we'll take the points. We'll take the points. Great job. Dove on the floor, survived it. That's a big milestone for Kristaps.
Weird game for a season high in minutes for Kristaps, though. Season high in minutes for him. Second highest scoring game of the season for him as well. Great Derrick White game. 7 of 16, 3 of 11, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 turnovers, a lot of which came in the third quarter, which was pretty uncharacteristic. It was a weird stretch for him. He turned the ball over like 4 times in 2 minutes. I don't really know what went on there, but hit some big shots, made some big plays. It feels like they're putting the ball in his hands a lot more in this one, which is fun to see because it's working out. It also felt like they went to him a lot when Wemby got switched on to Tatum. Like they would just switch the floor and send it to him, and he'd run the offense with whoever was on the off side or the weak side where Wemby was not. I'll call that the weak side. But a good game from him. Has played well for the last few games. It feels like we're getting back into the all-star Derrick White territory that we missed for like that month stretch where the Celtics were bad. And, it's just he just is the barometer for if the Celtics are good or not.
It really is that simple because he gives them such an underrated boost when he plays well. Like, I think he's like the breaking point for opposing defenses. It's like, well, we can play really focused defense on the top 3 guys, but if anybody else has it going, we're cooked. And Derek is the anybody else. Not to say he wouldn't be or can't be a top 3 guy because he had to be today, but in general, usually he's not the guy that defenses are keying in on. And when you're able to make them pay, essentially what we saw teams do to the Celtics for months, where the guy that decided not to cover made all the shots, and it was like, damn, what could we possibly do about this? Derrick White is that player for other teams out of necessity, not out of skill. It's just like, man, it's really tough to stop Jayson and Kristaps and Jalen when they're all going. So when he's able to deliver and make big shots, which he continuously does, he really moves the needle for this team. And I'm so happy he's playing well. He looked great tonight in an expanded role. Again, the sloppiness wasn't great in the third quarter when San Antonio crept back into the game. But overall, can't be too upset about it. Liked what we saw. And again, like you mentioned, strong finish to the first half of the season where it was a little shaky, goes into the break on a very good note. Probably is going to be feeling confident for the next 8 days.
Yeah, definitely. This felt like a Hauser game that we would see a lot last season, where it feels like a lot this year. Sam Hauser doesn't make a lot of shots, and he was just ass. Sam Hauser didn't make a lot of shots, but he still was good. Like, and that's what you want to see. That's kind of what we're back to. He was 2 of 7 from 3, which again isn't ideal. He was 2 of 2 on non-threes, one of which being a nice little step in for a midi, which came off great ball movement. But he had 7 rebounds in this one, including an offensive rebound that he hustled his ass off for. I remember it, and he had 12 points. Like I said, he made 2 threes and 2 twos and 2 free throws. So, it like I said, it felt like for a while Sam Hauser is completely dictated by if he's shooting well, he's gonna have a good game. If he's not, he's not. But he didn't have a great shooting game, and he was still impactful. So it's good to see him back sort of in the flow of things. And I think these last 2 starts have actually pretty done a good job of helping him get into that rhythm.
You really nailed the Hauser point where he didn't shoot efficiently from 3, but yet he was not the butt-ass player of the game. Shout out to Justin Turpin. That is really, I think, where the problem lied for me when I was like, this guy's dead. Because if he wasn't shooting, it didn't feel like he was contributing anything else. He said it, I think, to Bobby Manning last game or within the past couple days, where he's physically feeling much better. Injuries were playing a major part in his cold stretch, his cold start to the season. By the way, which you had mentioned, he's still hovering right around 40% from 3. So despite being terrible, he's still elite at the same time. It's just more about the other things, like you mentioned, being able to move and defend. Like, he had a couple good defensive possessions today. There was one on Stephon Castle where he made him take a really tough shot underneath the rim, and he smoked it. I don't even know if Castle's attempt even hit the rim. So Hauser being a capable defender is going to be really important for the Celtics going forward in the playoffs. But if he's not, Torrey Craig has not missed a 3 as a Celtic. He is somebody they brought in to be a capable defender at the very, very least. And he looked pretty solid in his 8-minute or 9 minutes of Celtic debut, which tell me that he's either 1, not really going to play that much, or 2, or perhaps both, was really still not ready to go in terms of conditioning. Which, I mean, I don't really care, but that's what I read.
After his first stint, it looked like Joe pulled him because he wasn't in the right place defensively. That's what Terp was telling me. So it does feel like there's some like kinks that need to be ironed out in terms of him meshing with the team. Jayson Tatum said it after the game, like they haven't practiced. So Torrey Craig hasn't actually gotten the chance to learn what this team does in that setting. So he was literally just thrown into it. So I think that is a big part to do with it too. But Craig was good. I thought he brought good energy on defense. There were a few possessions where it felt like he took gambles, like went for a block and they kicked it out, or he went for a steal and he fell, and it felt like he took a couple risks that he maybe didn't have to. But he hit his 3s on offense, kept the ball moving well, whether it was finding Tatum in the corner or finding Pritchard in the corner, which I think they took his assist away because he only finished with 1, but I thought he had 2 that I can remember. So it was good. I graded the debut for an article for Houdini, and I gave him a B. I thought he was fine. Like I thought it was a pretty average debut. I think he's going to have to get used to playing with this team. And the point I made in the article I wrote about is like this team has been playing with the same guys for 2 years, and now Torrey Craig has to say, okay, I've got to figure it out. Like he is the only new guy that they've had for like the last 2 seasons. So that's like not an easy space to be in. And figuring it out from there, where to be defensively, when to take risks, what to do on offense, like the spacing on both ends is going to be a challenge that they're going to have to work through. But as far as debuts go, it's fine. Like I thought he was all right. I thought he did what he needed to do. I'm curious to see if he ends up playing in the playoffs and how the minutes progress throughout the season. They don't really have backup wings / forwards past Hauser on this roster. So if he pops and fits well, it would be useful for them. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets like O'Shea minutes in the playoffs where it's like very every once in a while. It's probably the cap, but I think it could fit, and I think he played well enough in his debut to where you could see the vision at least going forward for that angle.
I think we're going to see like a real Missoula test here, meaning is he I don't really want to like insult him in any way, but is he sharp enough to realize that like giving Torrey Craig reps in the regular season is going to be beneficial when the playoffs come around because he's going to be more comfortable and used to playing with the core of players that are going to be out there. Like last year, we saw a lot of stubbornness after the trade deadline. Like Tillman didn't play a ton. He didn't play a lot in the playoffs.
I think he was
Granted,
hurt too.
he was hurt. He didn't play. I know he came back after the All-Star break from memory. That's what I remember.
Yeah, he was hurt, and then his dad died, I think, at the start of the playoffs. So there was, there,
Yeah,
just for a
there
little
were
bit of
some
context, there was
roadblocks.
a lot going on. Yeah,
But typically, Missoula is a very big trust guy, and you have to earn that trust. It's not given, which is fine. I think that's a fine philosophy to have. But you also have to give somebody the time to earn your trust, especially in a situation where Torrey Craig is not going to be a long term guy. The Celtics will probably play this half a season, and then that'll be it. Probably go play somewhere else. Maybe he really likes it and sticks around, but it's possible that this is the only 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, hopefully, that he is a member of the Celtics. So they signed him for a reason. Use him. See what you can get out of him. And if that takes like some uncomfortable minutes throughout the second half of the season, I don't care as long as it helps you make educated decisions in terms of like when is it best to use him? What lineups does he work with? Who does he have chemistry with? Does he work well defensively with this group or that group? Is he somebody you can trust to give you a different look if Hauser isn't playing well? All of those things are important questions to answer before the playoffs start. So I hope Missoula takes advantage of this extended, you know, however many games are left and does it.
yeah, definitely. Rest of the bench: Peyton Pritchard, 4 12, 2 10. Another not efficient night, but again, did everything else. He had 10 points, but he had 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 offensive rebounds. Dude's a freak. Just grabs every board out there. Luke Cornett didn't play much, only 16-ish minutes, 15-59, but 3 offensive rebounds for him as well. He averages he's like top whatever. Like he averages over 2 offensive rebounds a game, which is crazy considering he doesn't play a lot in those minutes. He was good. Saw some early Baylor Shireman spot minutes. Didn't really get an extended run, but he got out there, looked all right, moved his feet well on defense, and that was it. Jordan Walsh and Nimish Gata didn't play much. They played 26 minutes in garbage time. Um, anything else you wanted to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
Not really. Just Pritchard was like, you know what impressed me about Pritchard today is he was, like you mentioned with Hauser, not really able to shoot the ball well, but still was impactful. Like, didn't feel like he was screwing him out there. Like, he made a big shot in this game, even though he hadn't been successful up to that point. Like, 2 of 10 from 3 is not what you expect from him at this point in the season when he's shown you how consistent he can be. That says a lot about the character. I mean, Hauser technically wasn't a bench player today, but when everyone's healthy, he's a bench player. When your bench
Yeah.
players are able to give you more than one dimension to their game, I feel like that's a huge one up on a lot of teams in the NBA. And I think that's what separates the Celtics at times. Of course, they have the talent at the top. They're this incredibly constructed roster, but that construction doesn't just, show on the surface. It's in the foundation. It's in the walls and the insulation, whatever you want to point at in the
Sure.
house. It all works.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned Stephon Castle being thrown off by I forget whose defense.
Hauser.
Stephon Castle had the worst missed layup I've seen in an NBA game in a while in this game.
I hope we're not talking about the same.
What?
Hope we're not talking about the same play.
No, he was defended by Tatum in transition on this one, and Tatum was like way behind him, and he just like flicked it up towards the hoop, and it was just not even close to being close. It was.
We're not talking about the same play.
Why?
Because that would just make my point absolutely dead.
No. It was a transition. I bet I can find it too, pretty quickly because it was just a smoked layup. Let me see real quick. I'll show the chat my they call it reverse. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at this. This is terrible. I was on the ninth floor and was like, how in what world was this a miss? So Castle drives
Here's
in.
Castle dipping inside, missed the layup.
Just not even close. Just chucks it off the backboard. That was a free layup. Also, Sam, thoughts on the space station camera?
Space station camera's terrible. I was mad watching it at home.
Did he use it for the whole game?
No. But they
Okay.
did use it for extended stretches in this game. I'm actually glad you brought this up. Now I'm going to say this first and foremost. I do not mind watching games from the ninth floor. However, when I'm not on the ninth floor, I would prefer not to watch games from the ninth floor. And I think everybody at home would like to not watch games from the highest possible point you could watch them from at TD Garden. if they are not sitting up there in person. Just I will never understand why, and this is a problem for you at the same time, but just for different reasons. Why this was an ESPN game too, so that's partly why they did this. I don't think this was an NBC Sports Boston operation. But why networks continuously try and reinvent the fucking wheel with broadcasts? There's a camera angle, it works. The occasional close-up cuts work. I don't need to see a stupid wire camera, whether it is from outer space or courtside. I don't need to see it. Show me the angle everybody wants. That's it. That's all we need. Nobody asked for this. Not a single person. I can tell you nobody asked to watch it from outer space. And then poor Jack and the gang are at the game, and they have this fucking thing boxing them out up there as they're trying to watch and take notes and formulate intelligent questions for the players and coaches. And they got fucking the Mars rover in their way. Terrible.
It was whack. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think that just about does it, though. I got nothing else. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like.
We did get a new No Larry today.
Oh, yeah. Grimace. Celtics haven't lost since Grimacey's coming to the picture. Is that correct?
That's not true. They shit the bed against Dallas. But just in case you guys
well,
didn't see this,
let me rephrase. They haven't lost since they officially took the right
he's visiting
against New York. Well, they when they became the Grimace team when they beat the Knicks. So since then,
yep. And there he is. He was at the Garden today.
It looks like he's actually holding a sign that says "No Larry." That's funny.
That's by design. A little graphic design for you.
Love that. Where'd you make that? Snapchat?
Facebook Messenger.
I see. Anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics here, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff, and all the same. Wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, tell us what you thought. Celtics-Spurs. You can also hit the button, subscribe, hit the bell. We're here every single day. New pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps like this one are up the morning after each game. And other videos are up there in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find us on Spotify and Apple as well. All pods and recaps are there. So if you follow, they will go right into your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much. It does help us reach more people. Also, tell your friends. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We are always reading the emails. We'll probably do an email episode tomorrow since we didn't get to do them today, unless there are no emails. But hbtcpod@gmail.com. So if you want to get on that, go ahead and send them. Send your, I guess, first half of the season thoughts now that it is the All-Star break, or what you're looking forward to over the weekend. How you're going to spend your weekend if you're not going to pay attention to the games. hbtcpod@gmail.com. The socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is at Jack's NBA. Mine is at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.